The government of Zimbabwe, through the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, gave a green light for private schools to operate in Zimbabwe, private schools that are otherwise known as private colleges. This came after an exponential growth in population, where children were being born, locations growing, and the government couldn't keep up with building other schools and employing other teachers to fit the gap, to fill in the gap that was being opened. As a result, they gave a green light for private schools to start operating so as to meet the demand. Ever since, we've seen the mushrooming of a lot of private schools, some registered, some unregistered. That mushrooming of private schools has resulted in the dark exploitation of teachers that people don't even talk about. I'm here to talk about it because I need help, and the help that I need from you is such that you subscribe to this channel. Obviously, I know that you have a question. Subscribing to this channel, private schools in Zimbabwe, me being a teacher, how are all these things adding up? Well, let me say exactly what I have to say, and let me tell you my story. A story of overwork, a story of a meager pay that can hardly cover my rentals and my basic needs, and a story of exploitation that is so inhuman, that is so cruel, so much that it has consumed my life for the past 7 or so years. Well, I'm a teacher at a private school, and the things that I do there, they are more learner-centered, learner-focused. In the private school economy, people are having competitions, people are having like battles, one private school against the other, to make sure that they bring out results that will bring more students in later years, in later terms, and in later enrollment cycles. The reason why people want more people in later enrollment cycles is simply because the money that can be enjoyed by owners and directors of private schools come from the learners. When they pay, they pocket the money. So the owners and directors of private schools really want more kids to keep coming. And as a result of the mushrooming of a lot of private schools, there is this concept of the pie getting smaller and smaller because each and everyone wants a piece. So each private school kind of drafts a plan to make sure that they attract all the kids to themselves at the expense of all the other schools. One such way that they do it is making sure that the pass rate is so good that all the other kids from all the other schools will not resist, but rather will have to come. But most times, that kind of premonition comes at the expense of the teachers that work there. For example, I work at a certain school and I am given peanuts as salary. Unfortunately, I can say the money because of non-disclosure agreements as a result of the contracts that we have signed. But it's not good. It's not good pay. The sad part about it is that I wake up like early in the morning, like 4 o'clock. When I wake up early in the morning, like 4 o'clock, that's so that I prepare because the school starts at 6 o'clock. So I have to wake up at 4 o'clock and prepare so that at 5 a.m. I'll start walking there. Why do I walk? Because I cannot take even $1 from the salary to use for transport because I will be going out of budget by so doing. Plus, I can't complain about the walking because after a long time of doing it, I'm kind of used to it. So I walk from 5 a.m. so that I'll get to the place by 6 a.m. when we start. And I walk. Like the walking, sometimes it's dangerous because it's still dark. Usually 4 a.m., 5 a.m. when I start walking, it's still dark. But then I have no choice. I walk. And thankfully, because of God and His grace, I haven't been in some sort of a dangerous predicament yet, because I know that God has been taking care of me. So I walk, then I get there. When I get there, I start arranging kids, making sure that they go into their classrooms well, and sometimes I actually feel sad for the kids as well, because they have to be there at 6 a.m. regardless of where they come from, because they have to get to school and start working so that they will pass, so that they will increase the pass rate. Mind you, I'm not saying passing is a bad thing. I'm not saying the kids coming at 6, which will contribute to their passing, is a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing. However, when it is being done at the expense of the kids' safety and at the expense of the teachers' safety, it's kind of concerning, because nothing matters at private schools than kids learning and having to do things like a little bit better than the next private school. So the kids, they come early in the morning. Some of them who are fortunate to have their parents with cars, they come with their cars. Others who come from far away without cars, they have to walk and get to school by 6. When we get to school by 6, we start by an assembly, and I'm just on there after having walked. If I wasn't used to the walking, like for example the first days, I would have been tired already, because I would have spent like an hour walking. Right now I'm used, which is a good thing, but if I wasn't used, probably I would have been tired. And then I'll start the assembly. Then we do our thing with the assembly, and then immediately after the assembly, it's lesson after lesson after lesson. The timetable is so much tightly packed that when the bell rings, you move from one class to the next class, to the next class, to the next class. From like immediately after assembly, which is like 6:45 to 4 o'clock. The only times that you rest is at break time for 15 minutes, 10 a.m. to like 10:15, and at lunch hour, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. All the other times, the timetable is so packed that I'll be inside a lesson after a lesson, after a lesson, after a lesson, after a lesson. And some of the things, like, I don't know what's up with the people that owns private schools and the directors and everything. Like, sometimes they have to understand that for you to be productive, you need to have time to rest. And the things that they do, it looks like they feel like they are doing us a favor. They feel like for them to give us our money at the end of the month, we must have worked. So they have to put in like tight schedules for you to keep working. And there's a lot of a ladder of hierarchy that you have to report to, that will be looking into you to see that you are doing exactly what you're supposed to do. If you slack, or if you just don't do things right, or if you miss a lesson, the contract has it that they will deduct money. And as I said earlier, it's not a lot of money that can hardly pay my rent house, and money that can hardly give me food. And like it's so bad that they don't trust you. In fact, it looks like they actually do not want you to prosper. They just want you to be a puppet, because they know that if you prosper, probably you leave or something. So the working hours are like they're like so dangerous, and you keep working and working and working. If it so happens that you're sick, you have to be assessed for you to skip work. And a certain colleague of mine that I work with had to do like a certain deal that he had to do for him to make an extra money outside of work. You have to write a letter for you to be excused from school for a few hours. And when he wrote the letter, he just had to go out for an hour and see someone and sell something, like a home appliance of his that he didn't want anymore. When he wrote the letter, it was declined. They want you there from morning, like from dusk till dawn. They want you there, and you'll be doing lesson after lesson. And some of the things are so unrealistic that when you go from one lesson to the other, the next lesson to the other, sometimes you'll be giving children written work, and you won't have the time to mark the work, which means that it's designed that way so that you take the work from the school and go with it home and start marking. Like your life is to be preoccupied with things that has to do with the school. And as I said, I work from morning up until 4, and then after 4 I'll start walking again to another premise of the school, and then start doing night school from like 5 p.m. up until 8 p.m. Mind you, I will have woken up at like 4 a.m. and I will have walked to school. I will have worked the whole day. And after having worked the whole day, I will have to walk again to another school location and start working again. There's no time for me to mark the books. So I will have carried my books to the other location, and then from the other location back home after 8, and then I will have to walk from the other location. Probably I'll get home at around 9. I have to mark the books as well, because they'll be inspected the following day to see if I was doing my job diligently, if I was duty conscious, and if I was time conscious. So if I don't mark the work, then they'll say that I wasn't doing my work properly. So I have to mark. So you'd see that I will sleep at around 12 or so. I'm supposed to wake up early in the morning as well and go back to work. And if they were paying me a lot of money, probably I wouldn't be complaining. But then all this that I just told you is so that I'll be given just a paltry salary. And it's bad. It's actually sad. It's actually sad. And I know that some of the people that are looking at me are like, why is this guy telling us about this? So that you help me. I really need help. And the help that I want you to give me so that you subscribe to this channel, so that you help me grow this channel, because I think other people may think that it's dumb, but I've gathered the courage to, in the near future, leave this cycle, because it's been years and I'm not growing. The pay that I'm getting there doesn't allow me to grow myself. That doesn't allow me to develop. It's a chain. It feels like an indirect prison. I no longer want to be there. I want to grow. And for me to be able to grow, I need to be independent. I need to work for myself. And I want to do it in the form of this YouTube channel. I want us to grow this YouTube channel. I'm very confident that this YouTube channel will be able to earn me money, so that I'll be able to live that cycle. So that I'll leave a legacy for my kids. Because if I keep on working like that, paying rent, I was having food to eat. Next month, paying rent, I was having food to eat. Years going, I'm going to grow old. And there's no pension. It's a private school, for your own information. I'll have nothing for me to show. And I really understand that other people are like asking, why can't you just leave? Why can't you just leave? You're saying it's been 7 years. Yeah, that's a thoughtful question. But I think if you are in such kind of a situation as me, probably it's not a teacher at a private school, like, you would understand that it's not really easy. Like, it has been a routine for the past years. Plus, the school that I work for hasn't been always big. Like when we started, it was very small. And there were promises that were promised to us when we started. We grew the school. We thought that after